the universal language, numbers, the spiraling vortex. As long as we can get the numbers right across all cultures here, then we can have a universal language. And that's the scientists work on this shit. The scientists work like chess players, kind of. They take everything that somebody did before them and they're like, and they try and learn all that shit. And if you get a good scientist, if you get your just regular scientist, he's going to use all the stuff he learned before him to apply to now. But you get the theoretical shit, man. These really fucking, they're looking at all this shit and not just learning how to use it for the game at hand to keep the game going. They want to get out of the game. So they're taking these things that they know and they're piecing them together. They're finding what works. And they're taking us into a next level. And all the other scientists are like, what the fuck, man? I spent all these years learning this shit and now it's not good for anything. And it's like, and we romanticize scientists. Fucking Einstein, you know. And he was a smart guy. But he was a fucking arrogant prick too, probably. That's what I'm gathering from the way science is working. Why we haven't fucking figured out how to speak the language yet. I was going to Huntington Beach one year where the best place to see the eclipse was going to be at the Baja Peninsula, but there was no way of getting there, and I wasn't going there anyway. I was going to Huntington Beach, HB boy. They called me in the Army. I was from fucking Michigan. And I was only going there because when we were in the desert, I was still getting my prescription, whatever the hell they call it. I'd say prescription. I try and keep your sanity. They don't make pills that work this well. You know, an honest fucking story makes you feel like, if it makes sense to me, I must be okay. And there was a story about the eclipse that was coming in like July of fucking that year. June, July. So Meat and I flew back from Europe, spend time in Huntington Beach there, and went down to the beach to watch the eclipse and saw it, and and they talked about Einstein and all this shit a lot, you know. There's a story, and then it must have been Thomas Kuhn I'm reading about in his book. Years ago. It's in here somewhere. I have to finish the damn thing. It's pretty good. I only got about halfway through it before I had to move again and fucking lose track of shit. Speaks of, I think it was him. You're gonna say, oh, your citations are all wrong. You don't even know what you're talking about. But I know the story, and if you look up Kuhn and the whole thing about paradigm shift, it might be believable. Said that Einstein's fame was based on a lie. It was on an eclipse. He was doing a thing that was supposed to support his theory of relativity and fucking the general and specific and shit like that. And he went up to watch the eclipse, and from what I gather, it was about the bending of light around the sun. You know, the way the gravitational pull, and even with a photon being that sometimes it's energy, sometimes it's matter. This thing is totally quantum, man. according to the story, the experiment didn't work. But they're like, the whole fucking country's newspapers decided it was going to work. So they fucking lied about it and said, yay, it was a success. And what do you get? You get us today. We missed out on the language. Why is that? It's because all these numbers that they have on the board, watch that Will Hunter willing, whatever the fucking willing to be with Robin Williams in the janitor's closet. I don't know what the name of the movie is called. They should probably have one called that. For the next. That's a word I just, a slang I just came up with for necrophiliacs. Right in front of you, I said for the necks. And people, they think you're talking about, no. We're not talking goat throat stew here. You see these fucking people. They put all these damn formulas, all these numbers, all this language, this beautiful language that's connecting everything. And sometimes maybe they do it on purpose. They don't want us to find God because it will not support what this fucking thing is based upon. But sometimes thing doesn't quite work, it doesn't jive, they're like, and you know, I may not be a smart man type of thing. These people are fucking super intelligent. That's it. Well, we can't relate to the way their minds work with their spiraling vortex. It's not just a vortex, but a roiling fucking storm all around them constantly, probably. And they've been told how smart they are their whole lives. So suddenly they get to this point and they're like, this thing doesn't fucking work. And they're like, they can't take the fucking downfall. They can't take the downfall of this glory that they held in the eyes of whoever they believed held it. And so they squiggle out a line and they put one, like in that movie. That doesn't work. They squiggle out one and you know, they just fake it. They leave it. That's the thing. They leave that fucking line because they're like, I don't want to look like an asshole. And none of these people are as smart as I am anyway, because I've been told how smart I am my whole life. They're not smart enough to know any better. So they leave it in and they lie to a country, not just a country, but to a world about what happened. And more successful than, because it seems just about everybody we know believes Einstein. He faked it. That's why. The language, that's why we're not getting to the middle, the bottom, the point. God and the devil, you know, illusion, delusion. It's because we're still talking like we're from another country, and we think that people think we sound good, and people say, oh, your Chinese is very good. But unless you're smart enough to know these people are bullshitting you and just going along with it, you believe them, and everybody else believes you. And as long as we keep acting like things are true that aren't, it's going to be harder and harder. More and more difficult is what I mean to say. To get to the better part of anything.